Today, we're taking what seems like the absolute foundation of social interaction, these A1 level, basic conversational exchanges, and we're going to treat them like high-value data.
Exactly. The documents we're looking at for this deep dive, they look deceptively simple. I mean, really simple. But they contain just a shockingly dense snapshot of human identity.
That's the beauty of it, isn't it?
It is. What looks like basic language practice is actually, well, it's an anthropological blueprint.
Mm-hmm.
Our mission here is to sort of give you a shortcut, to show how quickly people establish who they are, where they're from, what they consume, and what they value.
And all just from answering these really foundational questions.
That's it.
We're basically decoding the hidden profile that's embedded in every where are you from and what do you do. It kind of proves that the very scaffolding of language is built around this immediate social mapping.
Right. So we're going straight from simple greetings to, like you said, high-value social data. And the first place to start is almost always geography, anchoring identity.
Location. It's the quickest, most essential piece of shorthand we have, right?
It is. It's not just a city name. It's an immediate cultural context, sometimes even a political one.
And we see that play out instantly in the dialogues we looked at. We get these specific origins: Mexico, Peru, London, and Osaka in Japan.
But it's never enough just to name the city, is it? That's the interesting part.
No, exactly. When you tell someone you're from Sao Paulo, the natural response, unless they're, an expert on world geography, is clarification.
That's that second step. Sao Paulo is in Brazil. We're sort of programmed to provide that anchor, the country or the continent, because it solidifies the context for everything that comes next.
We see the same thing with Bilbao.
Yep, Bilbao, which is specified as being in Spain.
It's like a two-part GPS coordinate, but for conversation. And once you've pinned that location, the interaction naturally seems to pivot to shared culture, to build some common ground.
Which brings us to the mention of Coldplay. I mean, that's such a powerful cultural touchstone. And the dialogue quickly fact-checks it. Are they American? No, they're British. And then you get this simple assessment that they are good.
And just like that, you've built a rapid shared cultural bridge. It's a quick measure of, cultural affiliation.
Yeah, and all of this is set against a very specific context, which is revealed by one simple binary question.
Are you on vacation?
Are you on vacation? And when the answer is yes, I am, the whole nature of the conversation shifts. We immediately understand the speaker's temporary status.
Right. You're not talking to a local. You're gathering information on a tourist. Someone whose interaction is probably transactional.
And that context, it changes the weight of all the data that follows.
Okay, so we've established where they are and their status. Now we get to the hard data contact details. This is where we shift from that fluid identity stuff to concrete, actionable information.
And this next part is maybe the most revealing because it exposes the friction that's involved in sharing these hard data points in the real world. This isn't a smooth digital form.
No.
This is a human verification protocol.
So take the simple act of sharing an address. The speaker gives the address, 48 Lake Street, and what's the immediate response? It's not, thanks.
It's repetition. 48 Lake Street, right. Great, thanks.
That repetition is so crucial. It's the verbal equivalent of clicking confirm. It tells both people that the data, that specific location, has been successfully sent and received.
It's a foundational human protocol for making sure data is valid.
The phone number exchange is even more layered. First, there's that immediate need to, disambiguate.
Is it the home number or the cell phone number?
Right. And that choice alone tells you something about how they prefer to be contacted. It's a behavioral data point.
Totally. And once the cell is specified, 203-868-5174, the exchange requires it to be repeated, but digit by digit.
That slow, deliberate, digit-by-digit confirmation, 203868, it just underscores the high value of that data. There's a very low margin for error.
If you get one number wrong, the connection's lost. It forces this cognitive slowdown, which is fascinating when you think about how fast the rest of the conversation is flowing.
We see this need for specificity again with names. The transcript has the name Shuhao Wang. And because that's not a common name for the listener, the speaker has to spell it out.
Yes, H-U-H-A-O.
Yeah.
And that act of spelling, it reinforces the specificity, but also maybe the vulnerability of personal identity data. It confirms the interaction is important enough to warrant this manual detailed entry.
And then we get to one of my favorite little exchanges in this whole thing, the zip code. The speaker asked for the zip code, clearly expecting, a unique identifier. And the reply comes back, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, the dialogue actually captures the immediate human reaction to that.
Really?
Really. That one word, that disbelief, it just perfectly highlights the gap between what you expect, a unique geographical tag, and the reality of this generic, almost placeholder number.
But hold on, let's challenge that for a second. If the goal is high-value data, isn't getting the zip code 12345 actually low-value data? Why is that exchange rich?
Ah, but that's where the insight is. The moment of friction is the insight. The use of a generic number tells you something crucial about the speaker's intent.
Okay.
Either they're using a famous placeholder to protect their privacy, or they're giving you low specificity data because the interaction hasn't earned full trust yet. It reveals a boundary, a point where they decided to abstract their identity.
So it reframes the whole thing. It goes from being a failure of data collection to a successful measure of trust and privacy preference. That's a great nuance.
Exactly.
All right, moving on. We shift from who you are and where you live to how you define your life through your stuff, through possessions and value. This is segment 3, consumption as an identity marker.
Well, the first thing we get is an inventory of the bag's contents, and it's basically the essential kit for a modern traveler or student.
A laptop, a phone, a wallet, and pens.
It's a very compressed snapshot of what you need to function in the 21st century. Those items aren't just objects, they're tools for, connectivity, finance, and capturing information.
And the analysis of value gets really fascinating when the talk turns to items for sale. We get objective prices, but the reactions are so subjective.
Right. Take the Mexican hat. It's priced at $20.
And that seems to establish a reasonable baseline for a tourist transaction. Origin, craft. It makes sense.
But then the value judgments get complicated. We hear about city maps and they cost $10. The immediate reaction we hear is skepticism. $10, that's a lot.
The speaker is immediately comparing that cost to their own internal sense of what a map should be worth.
But the justification is instant. They're great maps. So you see this clear example of how a high price is justified by perceived high quality. It makes the consumer willing to overcome that initial sticker shock.
It defines the buyer as someone who, I guess, prioritizes utility and excellence.
And then we get the exact opposite end of the spectrum, the sunglasses, costing only $2.
This is where it gets really interesting for me because the trade-off between quality and cost is spelled out so explicitly.
Yeah, the dialogue includes the direct warning. They aren't good, but they're okay.
That one simple statement is just a masterclass in consumer behavior. It reveals a whole segment of the market that's willing to purchase disposable utility.
They're not looking for status or durability. They're seeking basic function at the lowest possible cost. That is high-value socioeconomic data that you've just extracted from a $2 transaction.
And finally, in this segment, we have the great car debate, which really challenges our assumptions about wealth. Jeremy has a new car, and it's described with 3 classically high-status words.
It's big, black, and fast. In a lot of cultures, those are instant status symbols.
If the conversation stopped there, we'd assume wealth, extravagance. But the twist is where the real data is.
Is it expensive? No, it isn't, because it's an old car.
And that immediately refutes the assumption that desirable features have to be tied to high cost or being new. It shows a preference for performance and aesthetics over, well, showing off your money.
Precisely. It's an efficient way to profile someone who prioritizes function and maybe even sustainability or heritage over just consumer novelty.
Okay, so now we move to our final segment, preferences, relationships, and cultural taste. This is the messy human side of it all where identity really crystallizes.
And we start by mapping out the speaker's social web, family structure. We learn about Peggy, who is 5, and is specifically the sister's daughter, a niece.
That precise definition, it's not just a relative, it's a niece. It instantly places the speaker inside a specific defined family unit.
And then you see these immediate shared bonds forming. We learn that Stephen and Julia both have 6-year-old daughters.
That creates an instant common ground. It's a way to bypass all the surface-level small talk and get straight to a real emotional connection. It's a fast track to rapport.
We also get the simple but essential relationship status update. Elizabeth, good-looking, in class, and the speaker's girlfriend. Simple data, clear status.
But the relationships quickly reveal some cultural complexity. The transcript notes Mia's husband, Eric Cho, but Mia's last name is Lee.
Which raises a really important question about shared versus independent last names in marriage. In just 2 quick exchanges, this dialogue has signaled a modern, maybe non-traditional social structure.
Or at least one where the individuals chose to keep their own names.
Right. It's a massive cultural data point that's just hidden in a tiny clarification.
Then we get into defining yourself through rejection, what people don't like. Bob, for instance, does not watch MTV or CNN. He prefers reading books.
So Bob's deliberately opting out of two major high-volume media channels. That isn't just a preference, it's a lifestyle choice. It defines his media diet and probably his worldview. He's choosing sustained, deep attention reading over fragmented media.
We see a similar cognitive dissonance with Brian. He speaks Spanish, which might lead you to assume certain things, but he doesn't eat Mexican food. He prefers Japanese food.
And that clash forces us to just abandon simple stereotypes immediately. Speaking a language doesn't define your palate. It separates the linguistic data from the consumption data. It's a warning against oversimplifying when you're profiling someone.
And my favorite data point in this whole thing has to be the breakfast survey. The typical breakfast is toast and coffee.
The standard, efficient routine.
But the favorite breakfast food mentioned is pizza.
Wait, pizza for breakfast? That's not just a preference, that is a lifestyle statement. What does that tell you about their idea of indulgence versus necessity?
It's huge. The typical answer defines the routine, but the favorite answer defines the true, joyful indulgence they'd choose if there were no constraints.
It separates the necessities of workweek breakfast from the desire of a weekend morning.
That is a profound distinction between aspiration and reality, and it's captured in one single question.
And we close out with a music generation gap. Liz doesn't like pop music, and neither does the other speaker who uses this great self-deprecating humor, admitting, "I'm old."
Right, and they say they prefer classical and Brazilian music instead.
And that's a powerful final data point.
Yeah.
You get self-identification through musical taste, an age bracket, and a cultural affinity, all from one conversational exchange about what they listen to. It connects taste, age, and a willingness to reject the mainstream.
So let's synthesize all this. We took these simple exchanges, who, what, where, how much, and within just a few minutes, we mapped out a person's entire life context.
From their exact contact number and what they buy, to their family structures and their deepest consumer preferences.
The deep dive really reveals that this A1 level language isn't simple at all. It's just incredibly efficient.
These conversations aren't just about practicing vocabulary, they're information extraction protocols.
Yeah.
Every piece of small talk is a high bandwidth transfer of social data, and it's building a comprehensive profile of you.
It fundamentally changes how you view every basic interaction you have. We've seen these dialogues capture highly sensitive and specific data points: a cell number, a street address, family names, relationship status.
So here's the thought I'd leave you with. Given the details shared in these casual chats, what single piece of information, if you combined it with publicly available metadata, would give an outsider the most dangerous level of control or access to that person's life?
That's something for you to mull over. Fascinating stuff. Thanks for joining us for the deep dive.
Thanks for having me.